Welcome back to Teacher Log class, and now we're looking at the topic of nets. So under nets, we have different section, but let's talk about the introduction to solid figures. Now, the first thing you need to understand, what is a solid figures? A solid figures in simple terms that I try to define, or the book tries to define, is that it is a three-dimensional shapes and solid. So it's a three-dimensional shape, okay, or a solid. And some of the example that you can see is like cube or cone, and some of the things maybe that you know is like a cuboid. This is a cuboid. This is like a cylinder. And these three are actually what? I believe most of you know, these are all pyramid. Okay? But of course, if you want to be more specific, it has a more better name. As you can see here, the base here is a triangle. Okay? That's why we'll call this as, yes, it will be called as triangular pyramid. Not triangle pyramid, triangular pyramid. And if you look at here, we can see that this is actually either a square or a rectangle. We'll just call it as a rectangular pyramid. And this one a bit difficult. You can see that this is a five line shapes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is actually, if you see a shape like 5 lines, right? It's actually called pentagon, just in case you don't know. And in this case, we call it as a pentagonal pyramid. Okay? Now, these are all examples of solid figures. Now, after understanding all these examples of solid figures, we need to understand some of the parts of the solid. Now, for example, this is a cube. And if you look at this part, the sharp part, anyone know what's the name for that part? Okay, we call it actually as vertex. Okay, vertex. How about this line? All this line. We call it as edge. And how about this part that just now I mentioned, all this part? We call it as not base, because all this part we call it as a face. Okay, face. Now, when I look at corn also have this like face and this face. But if you want to give a better or more specific name, this is also a face, but we call it as a curved face. And this one is just flat, so we call it as a flat face. And I know some of you might be asking, teacher, then how about cube? Can we say this is a flat face? Yeah, you can in a way, but don't need lah, because we don't have a curved face in this, then we don't need to mention especially it's a flat or curved face. Okay. And honestly speaking, so far PSLE don't really ask you for the names of the parts of the solid. Okay, but something basic that you should know. Okay, let's move on. Now, this is the part that is very important now. I need you to pay attention here. Among all these different solid figures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 1 and 1 are something we call as prism. Only cube and cuboid, we call it as a prism. Then the question now is, what is prism? Now, in order to be called a prism, means a special name, in order to be called prism, you must satisfy these three requirements here. Okay? Now, first, at least one pair of opposite end have the same shape and size. Same shape and same size, basically. Means what? Now, let's look at cube, for example. Cube. Now, this face is a square, right? On top is what? Also square. Is it same face? Same shape? Yes, square. Is it same size? Yes. That's why this is part of the characteristic of a prism. Example, cuboid. Be left, right, okay? This is a square, right? Is this a square? Yes, this is also a square. if it's rectangle, then both must be rectangle. Okay, is it same shape? Yes. Is it same size? Yes. So this is actually one of the requirement of a prism. Next, edges are straight. Again, edge is means what? Edge means all the line here, right? Must be what? Straight. Then you might be thinking, teacher, if you look carefully, cylinder, this face is a circle. This face also a circle. Why is it not a prism? This is because of the second requirement here. Again, the requirement says what? Edges are straight. But as you can see, these lines are not straight. These are all like turning a circle, right? Curve. So it's not straight. That's why cylinder is not part of the prism. Good idea? How about cube and cuboid? Yes, all these are straight. Cube also the same, right? All these are straight. That's why it meet the requirement. Now, the third requirement is a bit funny, but let's look at this. Here says what? Same cross-sectional all along its length. Huh? What do you mean? Now, let me just give you an example. If I have a shape that looks like this, dong, dong, dong. Is it? Okay, let me just draw. No, can you get a shape? Example, if I have a shape line looks like this, at least one pair of opposite end. Example lah, this is the opposite end. Oh, here and here is the same shape. It's a square, same size. Edges are all straight line as you can see. But this is not a prism. Although I don't know what shape is this, this is not a prism. Why? Because of this requirement. Same cross-sectional all along its length. Means that you can look at cube board here. If I cut here, will it be the same square here? Yes. Or same rectangle here? Yes. Can you see here? Same, 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 same. How about cuboid? If I cut here, is it still a square? Yes, it's still square. Here is still rectangle or cube, a square. But in this case, this one, if I cut here, cut, is it still the same? No, this is actually bigger than this one, right? That's why this is one of the very important requirement of a prism. It must be same cross-sectional all along its length. Now, let's look at the example here. I have 3 examples here for you to look at. Now, if here first requirement, at least one pair of opposite ends have the same shape and size. Which one? Can I say this part and this part, this one and this one? Now, again, remember, this and this is not opposite. Okay, they are like this. Opposite should be like this. Okay, like this, like this. So, in this case, this is not. Okay? So, in this case, the triangle here and the triangle here will be the opposite end. Are all the edges straight? Yes, right, all straight. Is it same cross-sectional all along its length? As you can see here, right, if I to cut here, maybe like this. It's a nice triangle. Correct? That's what it is. How about this? This and this also the same, right? Edges all straight, and if I were to cut, it will be like this. All nice. Okay? If I had to cut up here, also can. Same. The same thing for here. Up and down are the one the opposite aim, the same shape and same size. Edges all straight, and if I were to cut, also the same. Okay? That's why these are called the prism. And just to clarify, right? A lot of students might be confused with this shape. And this shape, this is a prism. If you want to name it, this is called a triangular prism. Many students confuse this with this, the pyramid, because it looks like triangle, right? So again, pyramid is not a prism, but this is a triangular prism. And perhaps you'll be seeing, if I'm not mistaken, you'll be seeing a questions related to this to try to have you guys to compare between these two. Yes, you'll be seeing this question. Lah. So again, you need to know the difference between pyramid, a rectangular pyramid perhaps, and the triangular prism. What is the difference between these two? Okay? And that's it. Yes, I believe this. Yeah, oh, sorry. I think I blocked the pyramid. Yeah, this is how the pyramid looks like. So I hope that this actually gives you a better idea on this solid figure and especially on identifying what is a prism. Okay, that's it for me today. Thank you. See you. Bye bye.